So as gym owners and entrepreneurs, right now our stress levels are through the roof. Due to the current environment, there's so much volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity going on. If we're shut down, will we ever open? Or at all? If we're currently doing outdoor classes, what's going to happen when the weather turns? If we are currently open, a lot of us are just sitting here waiting for the hammer to drop of a second shutdown. All this stress does nothing for us. It takes away from our business, it takes away from our productivity, and literally it just deteriorates our overall health. And as health professionals, that's the last thing that we should have happening to us. So how do we handle this? How do we reduce our stress? Now, there's a bunch of different ways, but today I want to go over my top 5 ways on how I reduce stress on a daily basis. And the first one is aerobic activity or aerobic exercise, also known as long, sustainable, low duration, steady state, whatever you want to call it, right? As health professionals, we all know that exercise can reduce stress. But did you know that studies have actually shown that aerobic exercise, long, sustainable, right, 30, 40 minutes of just running, can help reduce stress more so than anything else? So, super stressed out today? Doing Fran may not be the best option, and instead, maybe go for a 30-minute run. It'll probably pay dividends in the end. Next up, we have meditation. Meditation is probably one of the oldest known ways of reducing stress. But what happens with a lot of people is they freak out when it comes to meditation. They're like, it's too hard. I don't know how to do it. I haven't reached enlightenment. You don't need any of that. Simply just sit in silence, focus on your breathing for 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to follow a guided meditation, great, but you don't need to. Literally just sitting there in silence will do you wonders. And that's going to flow right into our next one, and that's breathing exercises. Breathing exercises, along with meditation, are literally like a 1-2 punch to reduce stress. And it's amazing, and they work in conjunction super, super well. Box breathing doesn't need to be complicated either. There's a ton of different techniques. The one I like is what's known as box breathing. Listen, it's the one that the Navy SEALs use before they go on missions to make sure that they're focused and that they're calm. And if it's good enough for some of the most elite performers in the world, well, then it's good enough for me. The next thing that we can do is cold therapy. Now, this may seem counterintuitive because you're like, well, why is being exposed to the cold and shivering going to reduce my stress? Doesn't that simply elevate my stress levels? Well, actually, cold therapy has been shown to stimulate your vagus nerve, which is one of the main nerves responsible for your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for resting and digesting. So basically what happens, we stimulate our vagus nerve, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which quiets our sympathetic nervous system, also known as our fight or flight response. So by doing cold therapy, we're literally tricking our body to help reduce the stress that it's under on a normal basis. And last but not least, and this one should be a no-brainer, but I'm going to go over it anyway, and that's sleep. Sleep is huge. Sleep is when we recover. But sleep, it's not always about the amount of sleep that we get, it's about the quality of sleep that we get. That's super important. Literally, we should be spending no more than 20 to 25% of our sleep in REM. A little bit of deep sleep, which is where we truly, really recover, as well as some light and awake throughout the night. You're going to follow cycles based on your chronotype, which are other topics that we can talk about down the road. But basically, listen, you shouldn't be just focused on how much sleep you get, but the quality of sleep as well. Now, we can do all of these things, and at the end of the day, we're CrossFitters and fitness enthusiasts, so we always like to see measurable progress. So how do we actually measure whether or not these are actually reducing our stress levels? Stress for most of us seems to be a subjective matter. One day I feel stressed, but I'm not quite sure. I may even feel stressed and have no particular reason. Although, come to find out, there is a way to measure stress, and it's what's known as our heart rate variability. And studies have shown that there is a direct correlation between our heart rate variability and the amount of stress that our bodies are under. Whether it's psychological or physiological, it doesn't matter. Our bodies perceive stress in the same way. So, if you want to know whether or not these things are actually working, start tracking your stress levels by tracking your HRV on a daily basis. Are you struggling, is struggling with the stress of the current environment and COVID in general something that you're really having a hard time with? Well, I created a program that's going to help you learn stress management skills so that you can learn to breathe again and not have to worry so much. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, let's hop on a discovery call and see if the program's right for you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, click that little notification bell, and sign up for our mailing list so that you get notified of all of our cool stuff. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Take it easy.